Loaded. It's a loaded topic, 15% in exam. Okay, it's a pretty interesting and loaded. So first of all, Azure service, please understand. Azure storage service, that's one, that's called mega service. Under that, we'll have a Azure disk. That's another service. Then inside that, we'll have a file share. Inside that, we have blob, and we have table, and we have messages or queue. So these are the services we will be talking about. Now, there will be questions about redundancy, how it works. So there is a topic about LRS, GRS, and other aspect also. So we'll talk about that also. Then there will be talk about security, how to access. Then also we'll be talking about backup and restore and replication. So we'll talk about that. Then there will be a topic about static website hosting. So we'll talk about that also. And most important part here is understanding the concept, what to use, when to use, how to use. So I have to use theory some, and then we'll do lab. Around 7 to 8 lab I need to do in order for us to justice this topic. So this topic for operating system. Because without operating system, your VM cannot boot. The second storage, Azure gives you by default as a gift. They call temporary storage. Temporary disk, basically, for additional storage, but it is limited and subject to change because it's Azure gives you. And the third one, which we call attached disk, or we call VM disk, attached disk. That attached disk is nothing but you are adding additional storage. Now, when you do attached disk here, you have two choices. Either you manage, which is called customer manage, or Azure manage. If Azure manage, then Azure will take care of scalability, redundancy, security, everything. If you manage, then you have to take care. So by default, I would recommend you to use Azure manage, because if you are using attached disk, it is possible it is a shared disk. Shared disk means more machines are using or more users are using. In that case, you don't know when you will run out of space. Like I have laptop, right? Honestly speaking, I buy laptop very cheap. This laptop I bought like $218. Wonderful laptop. It has a 16 gig RAM, Dell and all. But the problem is hard drive. When I buy, it's a 512 GB. But once I use that, now I can't add more. Either I need to buy a new hard drive or I have to delete certain things. So I have a limitation. But in a company, when you are using multiple VM, especially hundreds of VMs, you don't know what people is going to store. So having attached hard disk, which is very, very important. So one lab, we will be covering about how to create additional disk and how to attach that disk to VM. Make sense? Why we need that? Because temporary storage or external storage is always important, because operating system, you are going to use SSD. This is very, very expensive hard drive. So you don't want storage to be very expensive. So SSD, which you are using, is very important for operating system, but rest attach, you want to make sure it's a cost versus scalability. Yes.
So when we were creating we could not create the VMs without storage.
That is operating system. That is the operating system disk. So we have not done yet attached disk. We are going to do today. So at least you
will. The default storage that is required to just create the VM, because there is a storage account.
Yes.
That is to
operating system disk.
Take care of the system and maybe a little bit of that.
Temporary storage is by default given to you. You don't have to do it. I'll show you step by step. Okay, so but there will be a one lab for that. Now, as we go further, storage perspective, the most important part is this capability, security. So when you are giving storage, by default, it will be private, protected. No one can access it. Now, there are two ways you can make that accessible. One, like example, I create a storage. Please pay attention. I create a storage. Only owner will have access to this by default. Rest of people by default should not have any access. But if you want, like example, an applications want to have access, you can enable them by giving a special key. You can give them key and then they can authenticate that. So that way you can secure. Only authorized application will be able to access. But then there is another way you can do is called temporary token. You can generate temporary token. And then you can say, if you have this temporary token, especially people who are QA, they can use this temporary token and then they can access also. So example, let's say I added my pictures here, and I want to share with you for a 1 month, only for 1 month. So I can create a temporary token with 1 month validation. I can also say that you can only access during Monday to Friday, or I can also say you will be able to access 10 minutes. Good thing or bad thing? Good thing, right? If you give key, then as long as this key is valid, this guy have lifetime access. So would you give key often or would you give token often?
Depending on the requirement.
Yeah, but most lifetime.
This temporary kind of not important application would be the
Correct.
years.
But in a regular basis, if somebody want like access, would you give key often or would you give token often? Token. Only key for authorized applications or authorized VM or authorized users. Make sense? You can also create a role-based permission. You can give a role that this guy can read it. This guy can read it. This guy can write it. So all those things, if you use Azure Manage, you don't have to worry about. Otherwise, you have to do heavy lifting. Make sense? So security in the cloud, right? It's your responsibility. Security of the cloud is Azure responsibility. But if you use Azure Manage, they will take care for that. The only thing you need to worry about is by default, you have no access, DD, default, deny by default. But then you slowly enable. So there will be one lab we will do how to secure and how to make it public. Make sense? I'll show you that. Now scalability. If it is custom managed, who has to scale? You have to. And if it is Azure managed, then they do that. Now accessibility. How to access that? So there are a couple of labs I have to show you accessibility part. So there is one homework I'm going to give you guys, which is called AZ copy. AZ copy. Let me explain this. There is a homework. It's interesting homework. I'll just show you in a picture so at least you understand. So what happened is, let's say I have one storage, which we call blob. I'm going to explain that. Blob that will be part of your storage, part of the storage. Let's say you have one storage one, just an example, storage one. And then there is a storage two you have. So far what people do, they download this data to local machine. And once they download and then they upload the data to the next storage. This way they can have their own copy. This is the way they normally do copy. So Microsoft give a very good utility that if you want to access from different place or if you want to copy, then you can do state server to server copy. This concept is AZ copy. You will have question in your exam, guaranteed. And we'll do small overview, but there is a homework for you. So what AZ copy does, yeah, you can use for backup, or if you want like a replication type of thing, or if you want same data available to two places, right? You can do that. So the command you are using for AZ copy take the source from here and then destinations here. Now, when you do the source, AZ copy will not be able to access unless you give a special token. So you have to create a special token. So to this token through AZ command can read any file, folders or structure. And then AZ copy also need a token for this side. So what I'm trying to say, if you want to access any file, you have to have some permissions. Through AZ copy, you can do storage to storage copy. AZ copy is a command. Using that, one storage, let's say example, you have data. And if you want me to access that, we can do that. We can copy through AZ copy. I can get your data to mine. But given that you will give me your token, temporary, and I will have my token, of course. I'm a destination, your source. So source to destination, you need a both side of token. So if there is a question in your quiz or exam, how would you do storage to storage copy? Which utility you use? AZ copy. AZ copy can allow lots of things, but mainly AZ copy is for file transfer. Yes.
This question to understand.
Mhm.
So when we talk about commands,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
I am almost assuming that easy copy is a PowerShell.
Yeah, exactly. It is the PowerShell command.
So, but if you are on Bash,
Mhm.
you will have a different command.
No. So it's a syntax are different. Commands are available, but syntax are different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
So it's really a PowerShell command which
Mhm.
can be used.
Mhm.
Or you are on a Bash, you have a certain set of
Instead of in a bash, it's still command is AZ copy. The options is in a Windows you call COPY copy. In a Linux you do CP. A little bit different, but commands are identically available.
at the same.
Oh, REST API you have similarity, but AZ copy itself doesn't have REST API thing. This is utility. It is designed for administration perspective, but this works better from Azure portal, right? It's not like you bring to your local machine. It's kind of storage to storage copy. So far, so good. Okay. Now, let's go further. When you are doing this disk storage, anytime you do disk storage, the way you have options is operating system, which we talk about, and data disk. This data disk is very important because data disk will have data and you don't want to lose your data. Operating system is easy to get it because it's static, it's immutable, means mostly you are not changing that. But data is the gold, yes or no, and you don't want to lose the data. So for that, there are 4 or 5 questions you may ask in the exam. First of all, see here, there is a concept here called availability. By default, managed disk has a significant availability, right? That's a second thing. How much managed disk you can add? Number you have to remember this. This may ask 50,000 VM disk you can subscribe. You can do that. Now I'll show you the picture so at least you will understand the picture part. Give me a second here. I'll come to here. Yeah. By default, 4 or 5 pictures, easy answers are easy. Remember LRS. What is LRS stands for? Local redundancy storage. So you can see here locally redundancy storage. See the picture so you will understand, because if I explain, you will not understand. So storage account is nothing but container. Think about a folder. Think about like, a folder. And inside folder, let's say you have file or folders, whatever it is. But this is the container. So anytime you create a file, Azure by default create 3 copies. By default. That's called yeah. No. LRS option. If you're selecting option LRS, even you can do it. This is the option you select. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, it is available. We will do that. So we'll do that. In the exam perspective, they only use acronym. Okay. So make sure you understand what is LRS means. So LRS stands for local redundancy storage. Local redundancy storage means, please try to understand. Data center is how many? Only one. How many data center? Only one. File, same file. How many copy you have? 3. So do you have a replica? Yes. This will give you some level of redundancy. But do you agree that whole data center can go down? Yes, sir. So you still have availability quite good, 11, but it is possible that you might lose the data center. Then you lose the data access. Possibility is there, right? So LRS is the cheapest one. LRS is cheapest one. But most people, if I'm doing development or testing, this might be option. But production, this is not the right option. Make sense? So like example, someone wants to reduce the cost, they can use this thing. And LRS is cheapest one. It gives you good redundancy. By default, it creates 3 copy. You don't have to do anything. You just need to select redundancy option, which I'll show you. It's a drop-down option. You select LRS. Why would you select LRS? Reduce the cost. Does it create a multiple copy? Answer is yes. How many? 3. Yes.
So here it says 99.9 durable.
Mhm.
Difference between durability and
Very good question. I'm glad you asked. So availability and durability. Availability means, like example, like I'm trying to access it. And when I'm trying to access, I get the result. Anytime I access, I get result. Make sense or not? That's availability. So let's example, there is a power outage. Power outage. Will you have available? Data will be available for you? No. So your availability is impacted. But if something happen, will your data will be lost? No. So the durability is you stop the machine, you restart the machine, or machine crash, your data will not be lost. So durable means no matter what happened with the machine, or no matter what happened with the data center, you are going to get your data back. Accessibility means I can access whenever I want. Durability means I have a peace of mind. My data, whatever I added, will not be lost. Make sense? Here, you have durability 11.9. Itself is huge, but sometimes you need better than that. Why? Because the problem is if you are having only one data center, if that goes down, availability is significantly impacted because you are now not able to access the data. So there is another solution. Please pay attention. LRS is the cheapest one. And that is something you select for development environment. If you go to next one, please pay attention because this is guaranteed question in your exam. Okay. And interview people will ask you also. Now, JRS. Z means John, redundancy, storage. Now, please understand what is here, one zone, second zone, and three. In the last example, you had only one data center. In last example, when we talk about LRS, we are talking about here. Now, if you think about availability zone, you have quite a good benefits. Why? Because your data is now replicated into multiple places. And because if it's there, you can see now your durability increase. However, your write request to storage goes to the only main place. So like example, whenever you write, it goes to one place only. The others are replicated. And when they're replicated, is a backup only. Interview question. Listen carefully. Write, when you do write, everyone write happens and the replicate happen. But read also happen here. So write and read both happen here. If write and read both happen here, then these are available only for redundant purpose only. Makes sense? So let me repeat. You have copy. Listen carefully. You have copy, but you are not using copy as an active. This is right, active standby. Active standby. So what is standby? If this is not available, I will be using it. But if it is available, then this is just a backup only. Do you see the problem here? Benefit is that your data will be available. But this small thing, you're not using, like I have 3 machines, but I'm using only 1 machine. So this is good. It will increase the cost, but it doesn't give you significant benefit. So what would be the best thing to do? Make identical. So I can read from here. I can write here. I can read from here. So in that case, I make use of that. So they have another option, which is called redundancy option, where not only you replicate, but you also read data. That is what most company will use. Make sense? Why? Because it gives you performance, availability, and it also gives you durability. Clear? So that is the next option. So if you see next option, this is called GRS. Remember the word GRS. This is where you have to, this R you have, that's the key here. If you do this one, you are now replicate the data and you also read data from multiple places. So this will give you significant benefit, and you can do failover also. So your increase availability, and you also give a readability. So because you are giving read availability, now your data is available in multiple places, your availability increase, your performance increase, and at the same time you have a durability high. You can see the durability comparatively. So majority companies are using GRS. What's the difference? GRS allows failover, automatic failover. So availability is increased. GRS also allows read from multiple places. And definitely your data back. Questions?
ECRS provides that.
Mhm.
If I'm reading it,
They are combination.
GRS provides durability,
Mhm.
but GCRS provides.
They are two. They are together. This options, it's a combination of both.
Is replicated from multiple. That means active.
Mhm.
That means and active read is fine.
Right.
That's you based on the traffic you can send it and you can make sure that the data is copying fast, right? But when it comes to write, you have to
Write always from primary. Only from primary. Because see the way it works in a replication form, you master, they call master. So primary is a master and other is called replica. Other is called replica. So you replica means you replicate the data like that. So far it is like doing like that. But now you are also able to read it. And if you want to write, request will be forwarded to here. Once it return here, then it will be replicated. Make sense? Okay. So let's do our first exercise. This is the exercise called disk exercise. Okay, this one. Again, this exercise, you need to remind me that before we end our class, we should destroy because we're going to do so many things today. And if we don't destroy, it will give a good charge. Okay, so this exercise, let me draw pictorial view. Please, this may take 10 minutes. Everyone, please see the picture. We are going to create a Windows machine. We are going to create Windows machine with one operating disk. We will create one operating disk. Then we are going to create we'll create one more disk attach. So we'll create another disk will attach. And that disk we're going to attach here. And I'll show you attach and deattach. That's what this exercise is. So we are going to create a data disk. Okay, we'll add it, how to use it. I'm going to show you. It may take 10 minutes. This is additional hard drive you're attaching to your computer. May not be difficult.
When we were doing the lab on skill sets,
last week we did, right?
last week,
Huh?
we had the option to choose this. Right?
Yes.
Normally use the redundancy.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Yeah. Today I'll show you also. It's the same thing because the scale set is on nothing but VM, right? So in VM, do you need disk or not, right? And if you need disk, I'm going to show you step by step. So it will be easier. So let's log into our portal. When you do that, it will be easier. When you see it, it will be quite easy. People on phone, give me thumbs up that you are in a portal. Good. Thank you, Mike. And Priyank is here. Okay, perfect. Okay, now, if you are in login, first we will create a virtual machine. So just search virtual machine, or you might have already. So just search virtual machine, or you can just select that. Hola, good. Okay. Stop me anytime, okay? Now, in this exercise, please pay attention. These all exercises are connected together. So if you do it well, I can give you guarantee 99% chances all exercise will work. However, if you have problem, please pick up immediately versus later, because it is possible, our different setup make it a problem. So now I'm going to create, and here we're going to select virtual machine. So create virtual machine. Now here we will select a resource group, just like so I'm going to create a new resource group because it's easier for me to delete. So I'll say our resource group 6, maybe 7, whichever you like. And I'll give a name, maybe Windows VM. Now here, the availability zone perspective, we don't care right now, but if you go,
right?
yeah.
Question. That's what I was about to select zone. If you're doing LRS, you cannot have VM.
No, that is a storage. This is the VM. No, no. VM is different, right? VM is a virtual machine. It's a compute. It's a compute. Storage is different. It's attached to like this. It attached.
Storage in one.
Yeah, it will come. It will come when I do disk. It will come. Sorry, I didn't get the question.
If the VM is set up for availability zone.
Mm-hmm.
And you get storage which is Alaris, then you cannot attach that to that.
But where did I select LRS yet?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Second options will come. Yeah. Right now, I'm not selecting anything. Now, if you scroll here, let's select special type of server because there is one extra lab I need to show you called file share. So I'm going to select this one. We are going to select Windows 2016 data center. You can select any server, but I will select the 16. So let's select that because the reason I'm saying first is powerful. And the second is I want to show you the file share or mount point. So that's why in one lab, we can do 2 exercises as well. So far, so good. Sorry. Okay. Now